Hello, good morning. Welcome to Purna Talks. So far, we have learned how do we think critical, how do we learn with fast method, and how do we set the goals using 3M technology, and how we write an effective way using a Cornell 5R method. So today, we would learn on how do we effectively read or how to have the an effective reading comprehension, okay, using SQ3R technique. So let us deeply go into that SQ3R technique. So this SQ3R technique is being widely used across the world, particularly the top universities. So there are two types of reading. One is passive reading and the active reading. And particularly to ensure that whatever you read, it has to have a proper long-term retention. You need to have this active reading. Remember the word in the FAST, the A means active. So this SQ3R is similar to what we have learned earlier, the technique, the 5R techniques. So if you could quickly recapitulate on the 5R technique for the effective writing. Uh, the first thing is the if you go to the writing mode, the first thing is the R means the record, means you are kind of dumping the entire information, okay, as it is onto your right side, which is your recording. And then using your understandings, you are reducing the or encapsulating the information using some mnemonics or abbreviations or any kind of short keywords, that is called the reduction or reduce. And then using your encapsulated form, you are elaborating your by your own uh, explanation, that is called recite. And during the recite, you would have come up with various questions and answers. So that one uh, based upon, so in that way you are actually strengthening your concepts. So once that is done, you really have a very confident on the content that is in your paper. So now you're reflecting, and that means you are ready to create the summary. And once you created the summary, you are actually reviewing the entire sheet, that is called the review. So, so that's all about how do we effectively write the notes, right? But that is like the information is not there. So you have created the notes content, and then finally you reach the phase where you are reviewing. But when it comes to active reading, okay, when it comes to reading comprehension, the information is already there on your paper, which means you would first need to start navigating the entire information in a skimming mode. Okay, that's called a skim reading mode. You can also call it as a survey. Okay, so you need to have a survey. Survey means you don't need to go to the deep level of information. You don't need to read the entire information data or something. You just need to understand the structure of the content. That is called a survey. Generally, what we do survey is like we have a overlook on the entire information and look at the structure of the information. Let me take a screenshot. Look and share the screen. So you can see that. So this is the survey. So using the survey, we typically understand the structure of the content, the title, the quick purpose, and the structure and various subheadings and the summary. We will be able to understand. We don't need to go into details within the each and every content, but at least we will have a quick glimpse of the topic. The once you have a kind of a fair idea about the structure of the content, then you go into the question mode. Like before you start reading the information, you go into the question mode and uh, ask the question by yourself before you go into the subheading or before you start the content. So that questions, once you formulated, then you start read the content using the questions that you post. Okay, so that uh, once you read the content uh, using the questions that you put, it would give you the a proper explanation about each and every question and then answers. So that is the read. Like here while you're reading, okay, so you are providing the answers to the questions that you post in the second phase. So with that, you are having a fair understanding about uh, what kind of uh, answers that you are providing to the question. So then you are going to the recite. In the recite means you post the questions and you had some kind of, and then you read to answer those questions, and now you have fair understanding, and then you recite. Whenever the reciting means you are actually providing the explanation with your by yourself with your mouth, let's say. So reciting means telling openly outside. So if you see, like it is not enough for whenever there is any learning or something, it is not enough for us to just listen by your ears or just see by eyes. It has to come out via mouth. Then only there will be a proper circuit that will be created in the mind. That's the reason recite is very important word, and that was the reason we need to have these questions and reads. Question is act like a acceleratory, and read is actually a content. So using the key, you are actually unlocking the entire information that will happen while you do the recite. So while you are actually explaining by yourself, okay, you will have to have a lot of thoughts also automatically. That is a kind of byproduct information. You would automatically, the mind will automatically try to create the correlation with whatever the content that you already know. Okay, that is called relate. Like for example, when you're explaining yourself using the keywords with the questions, and when you're answering those questions, automatically some information will automatically pop up in your mind that is already there in their mind. That is called relation. So you have to have the relation, then it will be very easy. That's the reason people very easily explain the things using acronym, because acronym is something that you are coming up with your known word and you are explaining based upon the acronym. That was the reason why we are actually using acronyms, or that is also the reason why we are using mnemonics. So then once that is uh, even that relation is also like you're also reflecting is also like kind of a final summary that you are giving, okay, based upon the your relations with content. And when you are actually very good at reciting of the content based upon the questions and answers, you're actually finally giving the reflect by your own. Again, it is also like a recite, but this is a final summary of the recitation of the, this is called reflect. This is also kind of creating a summary. So, and finally, you are actually reviewing means you are actually making sure that this particular topic is being reviewed completely, and then you lock the content in your mind and you have a confidence, and then you are actually a kind of a parallel other to the topic because that's already has come out from your mouth without any hindrances or without any problems. So you are actually very confident and you're ready to tackle that kind of a content, whatever the questions that comes. Okay, that so review is also in the sense like this topic makes sense when you're looking holistically compare with other topics, like because when you have the a big chapter, if this is a one topic, you also have to append this understanding to the overall chapters, right? So that is also called review. So actual concept is SQ3R, but I have come up with SQ again 5R. You know, there's a SQ5R, but the worldwide used is survey, question, read, recite, review. So during the recitation, you can have a relation with your known content, and you can also create the reflect, which means you are creating the summaries until it is really finalized in your mind, and you're really confident on the topic and be ready to tackle any kind of questions that comes under the topic. And finally, there is a review. So initially, this particular structure is always, it's kind of a baby steps mode. So it will take a lot of time, always, whenever you wanted to approach this. But this is like in the beginning phase. But once you start practicing, it will become an internalized into your, habitually it will become internalized, and automatically it will become like your nature. Whenever you start reading, automatically it will come, so that whenever you start reading the topic, you can just have gaze at the entire structure, and then you can start questioning about each and every content like subheadings, and then you read to answer those questions that you put, and then finally you are actually giving your explanation on your own. And while you're explaining, you can have a kind of a relate to the information that you already have in your mind, so that it will become more strengthening and will become internalized into your mind, and it will also be there in your long-term memory. And then finally you give the reflection, which is like you are also given kind of summary, and then you are reviewing to log the information, and also making sure that it makes sense to the entire holistic view. So this is how it's almost akin to what we have read, the effective writing up the note summary. This is also like that. So ultimately, the aim is to ensure that you need to devise a kind of auxiliary things like keywords or the questions before you start reading. So this is also these questions are the keywords, particularly in this reading comprehensions. The way you are asking questions is always important. Of course, we will deal this topic in a separate section. There is so much we can talk about. How do we perform the effective questioning methodologies? But for now, we can just think that this question, why we need to question is that to create the purpose. Okay. Remember, we had this goals, 3M technologies, the mind and motivation and methodologies. So this is all about creating the motivation. Why we need to read this question? What is in it for me to ensure that we really need to read it? So you will create the purpose before you read it. Also, there is a 5 why techniques like why, what, when, where, and how. So this kind of questions that you need to pose. Of course, we can discuss more about the questioning, which is very important before we start reading any kind of topic. So with that, I'm going to ending up this SQ5R technology and how do we effectively perform the reading comprehension so that it will always be there in your long-term memory, and you can easily explain to others also, and you can also start using the applications of the reading. So let us end up this, and we will come up with a different topic. I hope you all are having a good day. Thank you very much.